Well, man, it's wonderful to meet you, Hugh. Thank you for taking a minute out for the show today. I appreciate it.
Hey, it's totally my pleasure, of course. I hope that we have an interesting chat. I hope your audience find our chat interesting.
I have no doubt they will. Let's begin our journey with this. 5 years ago, this pandemic was raging, changing our lives. How did you get through that COVID era, and how has it influenced the way that you live today?
Oh, I know you've asked this question on some of your other guests. The first thing I would say was I paid attention to the information from the health department officials.
Yeah.
Hello, thank you all very much. This was not hard to do, and that was the first thing. Now, I had sort of already been in a situation like I am this morning, which is working a lot from home. I was still doing some of my communications consulting at that point, mostly in the healthcare space. And so, ironically, and so that didn't, that transition was not hard for me. I didn't suffer any sort of extreme what I would describe as, alterations to my basic lifestyle. Those alterations were basically based on health department recommendations, controlling my access and what I did when I was outside. I sort of knew some of those things anyway. I mean, I used to be on an infection control committee for a major public academic teaching medical center. So, you know, all the nasty stuff that people don't talk about, David Muir, et cetera. I mean, I kind of had a sense for that.
Yeah.
So as far as scribbling, I certainly had more impetus to spend a little more concentrated time on that. And we absolutely, I had a brother who almost died from COVID, and we certainly had it around here. Um, so we saw it. I mean, we saw the ambulances pulling up and shit like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm also old enough to have lived through, the SARS, the monkeypox,
Mhm.
AIDS. I mean, these things, and now we have a new strain. I don't know if you've caught that in the news. We've got a new strain of they call it now Mpox. I try to be politically correct.
Yeah.
That's now in the United States. And so we'll just have to see what happens with that,
Yeah.
especially with this current administration. And,
Oh,
boy,
oi is right.
ah,
Triple oi. So let me ask you this. You've
please.
had quite a celebrated career as a journalist, a playwright, you're an advocate, author.
Reasonable, reasonable.
Yeah. So let's get a handle on the marrow that's in your bones now. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of kids at career day at a school, and one of the kids wants to know what you do for a living in 2025. How do you answer them?
Well, today I'm primarily a writer author. So I'm not in the journalism track anymore. And I do pick up some business along, in the business of entertainment and stuff when I can. I am shopping two projects right now. Um, Both of them are sort of in the historical drama niche. So I don't know how well those will go based on what's going on with the entertainment business. If you want to call it anything, frankly, I'm pretty disgusted with a lot of what I see. Um, so that's what I do.
So
I mean, that's what
let's
I do for money. Yeah.
sure. Yeah. So
And it
what
is career day, so don't ask me personal questions,
that
kids.
that's right. Don't do it. So what did you want to be when you were a kid? When you were 12 years old and you were at career day, what was your dream life?
Well, when I was 12, I wanted to be a singer and an actor.
Okay.
And depending on which day of the week, I would say which one first. Yeah.
So where did you grow
I
up?
always sang. I always had a voice. I mean, when I was in first grade, we had music teachers then who used to just come around. They'd come around once a week and visit the class.
Yeah.
And I remember her making me get up in front of class. We of course sang chorus style, right? She'd make me get up in front of class and sing. And the reason for that was because, well, I had a little bit of a voice. Some of the other kids, of course, did too. But I also had a vibrato at that age, which is really super rare. So a voice soprano that isn't just whoo,
Yeah.
actually had a vibrato, which I unfortunately still have. And it's just gotten wider and wider.
So
We try to control that.
for sure. So what were the foundational elements from your childhood? Where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in a Midwest family. Kansas,
Okay.
in DC.
Okay. So what
Yeah,
were
the only one.
right? What
I
were the
actually was conceived in the Midwest, and then they moved.
I gotcha.
Everybody else, all the brothers, all the relatives, mom and dad, everybody, Midwest. So I say that because I think it had a real influence on me, and I feel quite fortunate about that.
But what made you want to be a singer, an actor, and ultimately a journalist and a playwright and an advocate now? How did this happen? What were the seeds that were
Yeah, I mean
sown?
the writer stuff. I mean, I wrote my first book when I was in second grade, so
Yeah.
I've always been doing that, and that's I think that sort of was born out of a just a natural innate penchant to tell stories. And you might be picking up I'm kind of a chatty guy, and so I love to tell stories.
Yeah.
And I just once I got a year and a half of school in me and I could write, then I thought, well, I'm going to start writing some stories. So I've always enjoyed telling stories, and I've always enjoyed, hearing and ingesting stories, which is why I think I fell in love with movies so early. I mean, before I was in the first grade, I had seen 300, at least 300 films. And that was long before the era of streaming,
Yeah.
not something you could, but we had something called the big movie at one when I was a kid. When I discovered that, I was an outdoor boy, fair weather boy, Four Seasons boy. But at 1 o'clock, come in for the big movie at one, and that was over at three, back outside. So
Yeah.
that's like 5 days a week. And I discovered it when I was about four and a half. So loved it.
Wow.
It was great. I mean, I loved the era of that period. And
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of where I lived, I mean, I don't know about it now so much. I mean, I was there when the Kennedy Center was built and opened. Speaking of jazz, I mean, when I was a wee one, I actually saw Ella Fitzgerald in concert. And I, of course, didn't know who she was because I didn't know,
Yeah.
but I still remember that.
Wow.
And so now it's unfortunately not that scene anymore.
Yeah.
Well, that's my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's not for sure. So, what was an influential book or a movie that left a profound influence on you?
Boy, a lot. Books, A Wrinkle in Time,
Yeah.
big time. Now, see, we had, I'd say until I was in sixth grade, um, we had book reading in as part of our curriculum.
Yeah.
So it usually was either after lunch or somewhere in that period. And the my teachers would sit down, our teachers would sit down in front of class and read a chapter from a book, an entire chapter, and you read it until the book was over. And so wonderful exposure. And of course, that just fed right into the whole storytelling thing. It's like, oh, and I had really mostly wonderful teachers. And I kind of think you had to be able to do that. There is, reading, and then there's sort of active reading, where you can kind of really intone and some of these. So I remember some of my teachers, and especially my third grade teacher. She was marvelous. And Wrinkle in Time, I would say from a book, very very early. Movies, oh, a lot of great films. I mean, I would start with all the noir films from the 40s because they were always on the big movie at one.
Yeah.
And and then of course I got into a lot of the Douglas Sirk glossy soaps from the 50s because those were just kind of coming on TV in the late 60s and early 70s. You could see them on TV. Um, I think the first film I ever went into the movie theater to see that I lost my mind over was The Poseidon Adventure.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I saw it 8 times in
Yeah.
the theater.
Yeah.
I took all my, oh, I got to see it. And actually, I saw that about 2 years ago. It still holds up. It
Yeah.
still holds up.
Yeah.
It's a disaster film, so you know that kind of stuff. But
Sure.
I am totally immersed now and still in what people call classic cinema. And I'll just tell you, that's largely because it's better.
I agree.
It's a whole lot better.
Yeah.
And we just went to see, I mean, we don't pay to go to the theater that much anymore because it's super expensive. And in Los Angeles, it's hard. And but I still love the art form so much. I want to still think I'm in it a little bit, right? And we went to see a film called Eleanor the Great because we love June Squibb, and it was just a dreadful film. It was just so terrible. I was so disappointed, and that's unfortunately that's the usual situation. It's most of the stuff that we see, we come out and it was okay. It was the last film that I think we paid to see that we went to the theater that I just said, wow, this is a superb film was, interesting, 1917. I'm not a war film guy and I'm not, and I never kind of have been. Um, but wow, what a film,
Yeah.
just grab me by the throat,
Yeah.
and I was so into, did you see it?
I didn't.
Well, if you can't, well, unfortunate because I mean to see it on the big screen was I
Yeah.
think something. I haven't seen it on the small screen, but I'm sure it's still wonderful.
Yeah.
But on the big screen, my gosh, the impact was so superb. Um, yeah, but see, when I was a kid, I was a young kid. I was seeing things like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest,
Hmm.
Jaws,
Yeah.
Nashville. These were just regular films.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that? What's playing this week? And they're all classics now. I mean, down here in Hollywood, they're doing retrospectives because I guess it's 50 years now or whatever. And so, yeah, okay, well, those were just regular films for us.
Yeah.
But you know what? Comparatively speaking, shut the door.
Yeah. Yep.
Shut the front door. Superb,
Yeah.
superb cinema,
Yeah.
cinema. There.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
My wife just asked me yesterday, what's the last good film you saw in the theater? I don't know. I used to love going to see films. I remember
yeah.
in the mid to late 90s, I was kind of into the indie thing, and there were so many good films, good
Oh
stories,
man,
great
yeah.
acting. And now I just don't even know. I mean, there's superhero films and things that go straight to your TV. I don't know.
And prequels and
Yep.
sequels. And I've been kind of bitching about this for a good 5 years now, maybe 6 or 7, that kind of I'm in the periphery of the business around here. I've been in several films and some TV shows and all that kind of jazz. So, I've been on the lot, I've been in the around. And so I thought, um, actually the turning point was I don't know if your audience remembers this, but about I guess 3 years ago now there was a big strike. The Writers Guild had a
Yep.
big strike here in town, which was absolutely um, respectable and necessary. But SAG they enacted what I would call a copycat strike at the same time to really squeeze, the decision makers and the power brokers in the business. And I, at the time, first of all, I am in SAG, and I just said that's a mistake. This is a mistake. First of all, it's disingenuous. You're doing this off the backs of the writers, who always get treated like shit anyway. I should know a little bit about that. Thank you very much. And I said there's going to be pushback from that because that was just very, very, very early. The balloons about AI were just coming up about 3 years ago. Believe it. That's how short a history we have on this technology. And now we have. I said, you know, all those people are. So here I'm telling the story. They're all going to meet in a room and they're all going to talk about how we can get rid of these pesky actors, you
Hmm.
know, and we don't need this crap because, to your point, people aren't going to see that anymore. We don't really live in an era. The business is in an era where there are great stars anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, there just are not. They're a big. I mean, 'cause some of that is a huge part of that social media.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
made everybody tiny.
Hmm.
I mean, Dancing with the Stars, dancing with who?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right.
You
Totally.
know,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no Ella Fitzgerald on that show,
No.
you
Uh-uh.
know. Yeah, no, sorry.
No. Yeah. So let me ask you this. Who's been
Please.
consistently an inspiration for you in your life?
Well, my brother, Aaron,
Yeah.
certainly, who I wrote the book about.
Yeah.
Um, I've met a lot of tremendously famous people and people I really admire. Um, but I got to say that I've never admired anyone more than him. Um, and I'll say, and I'll define that. I mean, because he sort of exemplified what I thought of as a really good person, a good human being. I mean, I was raised in the Western ethos of you know the golden rule and how to live a life, an honorable life, and he absolutely had all those things down. And the thing that always mystified me the most was how easy it seemed to be for him. And I've every all of those things have always been a struggle for me. I try for them,
Yeah.
uh, and so yeah, so I mean, it was hard not to adore him because I so looked up to him. Other certainly famous people. I've met some tremendous people. I mean, Julian Bond, Dolores Huerta, Katharine Hepburn, Pearl Bailey. Um, I mean, I don't want to name drop here,
Sure.
but actually, I probably do. Because I wasn't. You think you knew stars? You think you have stars? Uh, just people of enormous cultural and scientific and political significance. Bobby Kennedy.
Wow.
I was like three, I think, and I was at Dulles Airport waiting for we were waiting for Dad to come home from one of his little trips, and there he is. And Mother just said, "That's Senator." He was the senator then, and said, "Let's go meet him. Come on." And so Aaron and I went over and met him. I still remember that.
Wow.
It's in my new book. I'm writing it. I have a new book which is going to be released early this next year, and I that's in that because it's also a memoir. Yeah, Something Special to Be, by the way, was my very first memoir.
Yeah.
And that was why, in large degree, it was so hard because I don't write about myself.
Right.
Unless you're an author, you always put some of yourself in your work,
Hmm.
but it's another story. It's another person's story. It's another era. It's another situation. But you invest it with some of your personal experience because you need the verisimilitude, first of all. That is what is gone, unfortunately, in most storytelling that I come across, is people don't know what the hell they're talking about, and it's so clear.
Yeah.
Did you even bother to research this? I'm an editor on a historical book, which is going to make it's just now making the um, academic press rounds,
Yeah.
and that is and I've been working on that on and off for about 3 years, and it's from the antebellum period in the United States and southern. Well, it was a family that migrated from South Carolina to Texas to become kind of agricultural pioneer at that period. Fascinating. I don't. It's not something that I. It's not my métier or anything, but working with this PhD scholar on this book has been so fun because it's so interesting.
Yeah.
You know. So there we are.
So writing this memoir, was it cathartic? What, or was it difficult? What were kind of
Yeah, it
the,
was super difficult.
yeah.
I don't know that I would say it was cathartic, hmm, because I just don't know if I would. But super difficult for other reasons stated. Um, it's I wrote it in first person present. And I made that decision because I really wanted the reader to come into the journey, to come into it. So it has that kind of immediacy, I hope. And the reviews certainly seem to suggest it has that kind of immediacy because it's an extremely tense story in many aspects, and there's an enormous amount of plot twists and plot points. Which was another reason I wrote it because looking back over it on hindsight, I thought, well, this has everything built in to be an absolute superb story. Um, but writing it was tough because, of course, I'm very close to it, and there were some people in the story, particularly the heavies, that I had to work a little harder on to distance myself from the bias,
Yeah.
so that I could sort of let the story unfold and let the reader grab the story in the chunks that they wanted to chew on, you know. And there's a lot of chunks. Oh,
Yeah. I can imagine. So let me ask you this. If you were to run
please.
into 13-year-old version of you in a dream tonight and show them kind of a coffee table book of your life and how it turned out. And that young version's confused, like, what are you showing me? And you're like, this is how my life turned out. Would that version of you believe it?
If I was the audience, I was a 13-year-old looking at my own life.
Yeah, if you were looking at this book that you showed him as an adult, would they believe that that was the life that it turned out to be?
Um, I think so.
Yeah,
Um, I'd like to maybe flatter myself and thinking that if they didn't, I could convince them. That's kind of, you need to have a little bit of that as a storyteller,
yeah,
you know. That requires, you know, a little bit of a ability with the turn of phrase. But you know what it really requires is a little authenticity, which again is the model of my brother Aaron. I mean, I'm the most authentic person I've ever known. And so I think I would say this, it didn't turn out the way I thought it would, and your life probably won't either.
yeah,
So that's not a failure or that's not a disappointment. That's for you to grasp and hold on to and to celebrate it because life is such an unpredictable, fascinating, often infuriating, and unrelentingly challenging experience.
yeah,
I think that's super important to remember. Unfortunately, I think we live in an age where some of the narrative from certain segments has been stolen away from that, what I believe is a fact. Because life is hard. And if it's hard for some people, they somehow think that that's an offense or that they need some sort of position of victimhood because they're just alive.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
sorry, no.
yeah,
You know, Aaron was classically victimized and excluded as much as anyone ever was, and he didn't live a single sad day in his life.
yeah, yeah,
So, hello,
yeah,
and talk about diversity. I mean, I grew up living, breathing, eating diversity. This is we were Midwesterners in a cosmopolitan town. I had a brother with Down syndrome. I had a brother with CP. I had a gay brother. I had a mentally ill brother. Um, we had alcoholism. We had all those wonderful things that make up being a good old American family.
yep,
And you know what? And sometimes those were exceptionally hard, trying and challenging in times and moments and things to understand, but that is not the task to understand your life
yeah,
because it's the only one you have. And if you understand your life, then maybe you can talk to that 13-year-old kid
yeah.
and say something that might be of value at some point for that person.
So, having this dream of being an actor, when you finally get to Hollywood and you get that first gig, what was that first gig like?
Ooh, what was the first gig? Well, I had a lot of, I mean, I did an off-Broadway tour many years ago.
Yeah,
So I've been in and around it, and I worked professionally in opera for years.
yeah,
Um, so I certainly had a lot of whatever you want to call it, experience on the boards.
yeah.
But in this media, what was the first job? God, at this point, I'm having a hard time remembering. Um, because I've done a lot of stuff, and so much of it is just give me a paycheck,
Yeah,
and it's you forget it because it's what we were talking about earlier. I mean, most of the shows I've been on, I never even saw them.
yeah.
I've had people call me that don't even live here. I used to live in the Northwest. I lived in of course, East Coast most of my life. I would call me and say, "Oh, we just saw you in so and so and such and such." I was watching this show called Believers. It was this piece of shit show, but and I said, and I says, "Oh my God, it's you! Is that you?" A text message comes flying in. Did you do a show called so and so? And then here's me. Wait, just like I am with you right now. Oh, wait a minute. Did I do that? Um, but I tell you, more than the show, actually walking on one of the big as an employee walking on one of the big studio sets was huge. I actually worked in the studio on Warner's that Casablanca was filmed in.
Wow.
Shut the front door. I mean, I just on the downtimes on that oh, that was did you see did you happen to see or know of the Showtime production of called Winning Time? It
Yeah.
was about the LA Lakers, I guess back in the 70s or
Yeah.
80s,
Uh-huh.
the Magic Johnson years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh, I was all over that show
Yeah.
because I had multiple looks and costumes, and they kept bringing me in and stuff to do this and do that. And I watched it eventually, or one of the seasons I watched it, and I couldn't believe how much I was in the show. I thought, oh, there you go. But anyway, so that I think was really more exciting to me than the content of the.
Sure.
I did a movie, as far as content, I did a movie called um, Toxic Impulses,
Hmm.
and I had a really great role in that. I played like a homicide. I play a lot of bad people because I have this look.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mom. Um, but it's a character look, and that's you got to know those things about yourself if you're going to sell yourself at all
Yeah.
around here. Because the people around here are so dumb. I
Yeah.
mean, the people that are the agents and stuff that that are in the middle. Oh, you know. So you're just a commodity. So
Yeah.
get in, get out. Don't talk to me. Don't have an opinion. Don't know anything. They love dumb talent. So yeah, I play a lot of those characters that are mean, nasty. I've murdered so many people. Oh my God, I made an industrial one. I made an industrial. That was very early, actually. I made an industrial safety video, or I murdered it was a mass shooting event casualty. So the client was a security outfit down here in San Diego,
Yeah.
and they were selling their services to businesses.
Yeah.
And so I shot an entire office up, killed everybody. I mean, I had a decommissioned AK-47 or AK-17, I guess it was, and that was a rough shoot. I
Yeah.
mean, my body was bruised and battered after that because I had to do some serious physical stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, but so a lot of those characters, and then whenever they need this weird look, because
Yeah.
there you are,
They go for it.
they love it.
Yeah.
My face it does well with light, not particularly in this light, so
Right.
that's the check background.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this. Of everything that you've done, accomplished, evolved into, what are you the proudest of?
Work wise,
Just in general, just if you look at your life, what rises to the top?
becoming the conservator of my brother Aaron,
Yeah.
which is the book.
Yeah.
It's just a window, by the way. It's not the story of his life. It's the story of that struggle, because we were opposed. I was opposed by our own family, and what quickly happened was we'd been living together for he had moved here, I had moved him here, and he always wanted to live here with me. I mean, I'd been here at that point 6, 7 years, 8 years, about there. Anyway, and and anyway, when that finally happened, and he'd been here about a year, and everything was going just fantastically, except we had some issues with finances. Um, we had a health scare with him. And I thought, well, I'm in no position here legally, really, to do the things I should do to try to help him negotiate this. It was urgent surgery, things like that. It wasn't the flu. And I thought, well, maybe it's time to think about a conservatorship. And so I talked to some people, and then I said, okay, well, including some of my family. And I said, okay, well, that's what we'll do. And they just blew up. They just blew up. As soon as I took it into that realm, I was just opposed immediately, and plans were underway to rip us apart and take him out of Los Angeles, and it was a total assault on his right to self-determination, and I mean, it sparked a story that I think belonged in a book. So it is. There it is.
So at the
I
end
would
of
say
the,
that,
yeah,
frankly.
for sure.
Work-wise, I've done some wonderful, wonderful things, particularly well, by that I mean the outcomes and the impacts on health status and communities and such as that. I've worked as a care manager for individual clients and also in underserved population communities. Um, I was just, I was just, well, the AIDS calamity hit when I was still in school. And when I got out of school, that's the world I kind of walked into.
Yeah.
And, so that was late 80s. And I just thought, well, gosh, I better step up here. And I did. And, that's just not something to pat yourself on the back for. That's just what kind of a person are you and do you care about things or not?
Yeah.
Our people. And growing up with someone a model like Aaron, yeah, this is what it is. You care about people. This is important. Um, uh, Creatively, I mean, I'm very proud of this book. I guess I would say a lot of the journalistic efforts were huge. I think the tour I did one of the tours of Les Miserables. That was a big deal for me. Um, I think some of the operatic appearances were a big deal for me because I was terrified out of my goddamn mind. You know, I mean, I had been on a stage, but I did in front of 3,000 seats,
Yeah.
red velvet, and suddenly you're looking out there and you're like, now this is the era of no microphones. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You know, this is stand and sing, get it out there. Balconies, balcony, you know,
Yeah.
and all never in English, of course, and so stuff like that. And some of the directing, I love directing on stage.
Yeah.
Loved some of that stuff. Um, and certainly found it extremely rewarding. I've worked with all sorts of casts. I've worked with people who were all disabled. I worked with people who had no talent at all, who had never stepped on a stage in their lives and was able to get them to give a performance. Those are tremendously rewarding things,
Yeah.
especially when you see it on their face.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, they say, "Oh, you know, I had no idea I could do this, this, and this," right? Those are great. Those are great moments. I remember them. I was the performing arts manager for uh, a day camp. Well, actually, it was a stay away camp, a sleepaway camp for pediatric oncology patients here in Los Angeles, which was
Yeah.
associated with Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. And I did that for 2 years. And oh, I got to tell you, it's an interesting ride when you are immersed in inducing like a creative experience for people who are breaking your heart every minute.
Yeah.
It calls on so many parts of you or I'll speak for myself, it called on so many parts of me to offer those offer that experience in a way that was memorable for them. And many of them, of course, are not here anymore.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that might be a book too, but who knows? We'll have
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah.
But there was some tremendous, tremendous experiences there. Um, I brought Wayne Brady out. I produced a personal appearance by Wayne Brady and a band to come out for an evening to entertain the camp, which just to give your listeners an idea of the size, each year we had the first year we had about 89 children, and then the second year we had about 80, so
Yeah.
roughly in there. And I'm not talking, some cases I'm talking children who had already lost limbs, children who had, you know, life-ending blastomas and things of that nature. Seriously ill children. And I was always in the presence of seeing how many of these kids were reflecting that great spirit that I always saw in my brother Aaron, even in these tremendously dire situations that they were in, you know. I mean, there were people employed there that left mid because it was a 2 week thing. Um, that just burned out, couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
We had some children who couldn't handle it,
Yeah.
who had to be. We had some children leave in ambulances.
Yeah.
Not that we were harming them, but this is their because
Sure.
it was the only medical camp in the United States at that time by the sense that we had top level medical professionals on site. And the reason that was the only one, because boy, that is expensive stuff.
Yeah.
Because they had to be there for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Wow. So the memoir, Something Special B, if somebody wants to get a copy, Amazon, or if
You
anybody,
bet.
anything else?
It'll be on some of the other platforms in 2026, but
Okay.
right now it's on Amazon, Kindle, print. Um, there's going to be a promo. I don't know when this is airing, but there's going to be a promotion on December 2nd.
Okay.
Um, we're taping this in October, which is Down Syndrome Awareness Month on down December 2nd, December 3rd, or sort of global awareness days. So I'm running a promotion on that, like a 99 cent promotion, you know.
Okay.
It's in paperback. It's a very beautiful book. I say beautiful because I lucked out with the designers that I hired. They really delivered a nice product.
It is beautiful.
And I understand the technological influences, but I really want to hold a book. I want to feel a book in my hands, and that's not to diss on anybody that wants to do the readers and the Kindles and stuff. That's just my preference. And in that respect, the choice of paper we use and things I didn't cut corners on that.
Yeah.
You know, what I get on a sale of the book is like 5 cents or something because it's expensive book to make. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
You have to pay for it, you being the author, in
Yeah.
case your readers are interested, or sorry, your listeners are interested. Um, you have to pay for the book because it's an on-demand printing environment.
Yeah.
And so they take that out of what the book costs. And in this
Yeah.
case, it's an expensive book.
Absolutely. Well, I
Not to
will.
buy, but to produce.
Sure. No, I get it. Absolutely. Well, we have absolutely done good with maximizing our time here. Thank
Did
you
we
so
get
much.
out, Oriel?
We're
Ding,
good.
ding, 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 ding,
Ding,
ding.
ding, ding. We won. We won the game show. Man, so great to meet you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your story.
Thank
Best of
you.
luck with the book. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure entirely. Have a
Thank you.
great, I love your background too, by the way.
Oh, thank you. That's one of my originals. So yeah, thank you. I
Is
appreciate
it?
it.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.